Welcome back to Dairy Errors. Today I'm going to can some red beans. But before we do, I want to tell you a few things. A lot of people will ask me at times, why do you can stuff? Especially the beans. I don't know why you buy dried beans. Why don't you just buy them in the can already? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if I can can them, I get way more for my money. And not only that, well, I guess they're ready to go in the can when you buy them from the store, but I'd much rather know what's in my food and make it myself. So that's another reason. But I will show you the price of these beans. I think they were $1.24 for a pound. I got the little bags. If I would have got bigger bags, I would have got a better price, but they didn't have the bigger bags. So I got what I could get. And this is the price of a regular can. I think it's 15.5 ounce can of red beans and what it costs. So that's one reason why I can. So, I mean, and we'll see how many pints I get out of this, and then we'll figure out what our cost is when I'm done. So I'm absolutely sure it'll be way better than the 72 cents or whatever it was a can. So let's do it. I'm going to start from the beginning, and this is for you beginners who haven't canned ever or want to start pressure canning and don't really know what to do, or for you people that have pressure canned before and are coming back to it and haven't done it in a while and just need a refresher. I'm going to try to do this step by step so that you know what you're doing when you're canning dried beans. All right, guys, I've already rinsed these beans. Now I've soaked them overnight. I've soaked them for approximately 12 hours, actually, draining off all the water. And now I'm going to go through there and I'm going to check them again. What you're looking for is rocks. Anything that's not good, I just kind of shake it out of the jar as I go. I put my beans in a half-gallon jar and soak them overnight in a half-gallon jar. That's what I do. So there's a, no, I think it's just not split. They look pretty good. They have lightened their color, as you can tell. They were really super dark, and now they're just kind of light. They kind of look like pinto beans at this point, but they are red beans. So just kind of go through there. This one, I don't know about, looks funny to me. I'll take it out, but that one's still dark. Let's set that one over here. But yeah, go through there. If anything's split in half, take it out. Like this one and this one, I'm taking those out. And I'm looking for rocks. Believe it or not, you'll get rocks. And nobody wants a broken tooth. So it doesn't happen very often that I have found. I've done a lot of beans, so, but it does happen. So just check them really good, make sure everything is good. The ones that are in half, I take out. I don't put a bean in there that's split. So if there's anything that doesn't look good, get rid of it. So, and after you soak them, I don't mean split like this where, you know, you can see where it's kind of split like that. I mean actually in half. I take the half out. Okay? So, I'm going to finish this up and rinse them off real good, put them back in the jar, and get ready to the next step. I did want to let you know here before we go on, when I put my beans in my half-gallon jars, the reason I do that is because that leaves plenty of room for expansion. So I just took the 1 pound bag and put it in a half-gallon jar, and another 1 pound bag and put it in another half-gallon jar. But if I was doing pintos or whatever, I would generally only fill the jar probably no more than 3/4 full. Actually, I'd probably just do them at half because those beans take in the water and expand quite a bit, and you'll just have to keep filling up with more water to cover them. So if I'm soaking them overnight, I usually just get a half-gallon jar and fill it halfway up or 3/4 of the way up with the beans, and then fill the rest up with water. That's how you do it. Okay, make sure your jars are clean. I sanitized mine. I also washed them all up, put them in the oven. I put them in there for 20 minutes at 225. I checked all these rims around the top to make sure there's nothing there whatsoever that's chipped, and I checked all my jars and make sure there was no cracks anywhere. We don't want to lose any of our food, okay? I also have my water boiling, so I'm going to turn that off. I also have my canner, which the water's really hot. I took my gasket out and I've oiled it already. It's ready to go. All I gotta do is flip it over and put it on. If you have an All-American canner, you're probably gonna have to put some Vaseline or olive oil around the top. I checked all my spots that need to be open and clear and made sure they're functioning well and working properly so that it can release steam and seal up when it needs to. Everything's good to go there. I have my tools out. I have a funnel. I have my jar. I don't know what you call this. I just eyeball everything because I've been canning forever, but you can measure your distance for your head space with this. Here's my little magnet to make sure I can pick my lids up, and I've got my lids in hot water. You don't have to do that anymore, but I still do. I have my rings ready. I have my jar lifter ready. I have this ready so I can put a half teaspoon of salt in each jar, and I have my ladles ready. My beans are here and ready to go. My salt is close by, and I have a little bowl here of white vinegar because when I get done putting the beans in, I am going to clean the top of the jars with the white vinegar before I put my lid on. That's where we're at. So we're going to start in filling these jars now. All right. Wondering how many I'll get. These beans, even though I've soaked them for 12 hours, they're still kind of hard. I'm going to fill mine to there. People, you can do what you want. You can fill it to the top rim if you want, but I'm going to fill it to there. That way I leave room for these beans to expand a little bit more because I feel like they will. So that's what I'm going to do. You do what you like. Some people don't soak their beans overnight. Some people soak them overnight and then put them on the stove and cook them for like a half hour or whatever. It's really all up to you. I have tried not soaking them overnight and just doing them that way, putting them right into the jar, but to tell you the truth, I did not like the outcome. I feel better doing it this way, so that's what I do. And if I was making ham and beans to can or something like that, I would cook them in the pot before I fill the jars. So, just so you know, we'll see how many. It looks like I'm going to have two batches going here, possibly. Got way more than I thought I would get, that's for sure. Maybe a little bit more in that one. A little bit more in that one. There we go. All right. Last one. So, I have just a little bit left in here. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Do it that way. And let's see, I'll put a little bit here. I'm going to kind of divvy it up between them. This is a little lower. You guys do what you want, but I'm a picky person. So, okay, here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and a bean on the side. So, okay, now we're going to fill it up with water, okay? To go to the other arm so you can see, I guess. I'm probably blocking everything. Yes, I am. Okay. Fill it up with water. Move these out of the way. We'll start doing it from the front to the back. That way you guys can see better. And just so you know, yes, this is a jar I got honey in, but it's a ball jar and I can use it. I tried everything to get that sticker off, but It is so hard to get off. I'm like, oh, what's the use? I've canned in it 3 times since I've gotten it, so it's fine. We're going for a 1-inch headspace, okay? What that means is, from this point up, there's nothing to be past that point. Not a bean and not the juice. That's where the 1-inch headspace mark is. Woo, got that one high. When we debubble this, which I'll show you, a lot of times the amount of water will go down because you're getting rid of those air bubbles and making more space. And that's why you do that. You don't want any air in there. So, okay, let's see where we're at. I'm going to take the handy dandy tool like this. I'm using this end and I'm debubbling. So, I'm going to go in there and go like this, all the way down to the bottom, all around the sides. That one's pretty good. See, there are bubbles coming up for sure. Okay. Bubbles, again, coming to the surface there. Okay, those 3 are done. Slide these 2 up here. Yep, more bubbles. Okay. When you're doing this, you can see what a difference this makes. And sometimes you really have to put a lot more water in there to get your 1-inch headspace after you do this. You know, it does make a very big difference. You'd be surprised. Also, I did want to remind you guys, if you're wearing nail polish like I was earlier, I had scrubbed all those jars and to get them clean and put them in the oven, and then when I started rinsing the beans, I noticed my nail polish was coming off. So I re-rinsed the beans after the time I showed you guys, and of course I took all of my polish off first, but I re-rinsed everything so that it's clean. You don't want to do that. If you got polish that's coming off and you don't want to take it off, or you don't want to take the time to take it off, at least put some gloves on. So, a little bit more. There we go. That's good. We're right on the mark with most of these, so. Yep, good. Okay, so we're done with this water. All right, now we're going to clean the rims. Done with that tool. I'm going to put my salt in first, then I'll clean the rims. So I'm putting a 1/2 teaspoon of, see which one's the half? That's a 1/4. 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, okay. So we're putting a 1/2 teaspoon in each jar. And the reason I'm not going to clean my rims before I do this is because if this is on the edge, I'm not going to leave it there. You have to get granules of salt and everything off. So you need to make sure you take the time it takes right before you put that lid on. So now, I didn't need that after all. All right. Now for the vinegar. Okay, and clean off these jars just on the top. If you were canning anything else and you made a mess along the rim here, the rings and such, you want to clean that off as well. Okay, you want to get these jars as clean as possible before you put them in. Okay, here we go. Okay, I did want to mention your salt. I use Himalayan pink salt. That's what I use. You can use a sea salt. You can use kosher salt. You can use canning and pickling salt, but you cannot use iodine salt. Don't use any salt that has iodine in it. So there you go. That's that information. Also, I figured up the cost on this, and for 2 bags of beans, that would have been $2.48 for 7 pints. If you would have bought the 7 jars at the store, it would have been $5.04. So over double of what you're paying in the store. And if I would have found bigger bags of the dried red beans, I could have got a way better deal, even better than that. But I only had the access to the 1-pound bags. So that's the news for you. Going back to the canning. All right, now we're going to put our lids on. Just so you know, you don't have to put the salt in there. That's the way I like it. I like my beans to have a little salt on them. But you don't have to, by any means. You can totally leave the salt out. All right. Get them lids on there. These two are stuck together. Huh. Come on, get apart. Try not to touch anything on the underneath side of the jars. Try to get them all lined up so that they're even to the top of the jar. All right, and put your rings on. Fingertip tight, which means you go, if you go like this, where it stops, then just go a little bit more. It's how tight you can make them with your fingertips only, not like this. With your fingertips, how tight you can make with your fingertips until you're like, it's not going anymore, you know? I mean, you're cranking on it. You don't go like this. That's not fingertip tight. Fingertip tight's only the fingertips, okay? Oops, spilled my vinegar. So I always wonder what that is. Everybody comes up with something different. Fingertip tight's fingertip tight, not third knuckle tight or a whole grip tight. Line up that lid. Okay, there we go. All right, get your jar lifter, this. Mine's kind of hard to open and shut. It's always been that way though. But I love yellow and I got this at Goodwill, so I keep it. But I have several of these. Okay, so what we're going to do here is put them right in. So 2 packs of 1-pound small red beans gave us 7 pints. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably fill up 2-pint jars with water and put them in there just to fill the canner so that everything's even. Got 2 jars here. I'm going to put this hot water that's left in there. Alright, put these lids on. And put them in the canner. Alright, there we go. Alright, now some. This is what we're going to do next. We'll put this on here. Fasten her down. There we go. Okay, so I fastened it down. It's square over the burner. This one I have to kind of pull my stove out. We live in an A-frame. So in order to get that square over the burner, I got to pull my stove out a little bit. There we go. All right, so it's going. I'm going to let this thing go. And when it starts steaming, out of this top vent, a bunch of steam will start coming out of here. Then I'm going to wait for 10 more minutes, and then I'll put my weight on. My weight it looks like this, and I use 10 pounds of pressure. It's marked. It has 10 and 15 on mine, and 5. There's holes right there for the 5, a hole for the 15, a hole for the 10. I use 10 for my elevation. So please refer to your home ball canning book. There's a lot of different canning books for ball, and actually I kind of started collecting them because some of them have recipes the other ones don't. But anyway, look in the book and make sure you get the right amount of pressure for, or the right weight for your canner. Also read your canner book that came with it. If you don't have one, you can probably get online and order one. Also, you can check with the National Center for Home Preservation. They will give you that information too. For me, we use 10 pounds of pressure. So that's what I'm going to put on there after it steams for 10 minutes. Okay, then we will can them. After this starts jiggling like it's supposed to, 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 times a minute is what my canning book says for this canner. It is to jiggle 1 to 4 times a minute. When it is like that, that's when I start counting my time for processing. My processing time is 75 minutes because these are pints. If they were quarts, it would be 90 minutes. So we're just waiting now on this to start steaming, and we'll come back then. I did want to say, I forgot to let you know, I pour my vinegar in my canner. And the reason I do that is because the calcium deposit on your jars, makes them turn white. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to wash my jars anyway, and most likely it'll come off no problem. But sometimes it kind of doesn't. So I always just put my vinegar in my water, and that prevents you from having jars coming out with a cloudy white stuff on them. So that's just another tip. You don't have to do it. You do not have to do it at all. That's up to you. But since you're already using your vinegar, to wipe down the top of the jars, it's easy just to throw it in there when you're done before you put the lid on. So I did want to make a mention that I always do that as well, if I can remember. Okay, my steam's been going for 10 minutes. See? Watch. Okay, can you see that? So, here's my tin and my hole for it, and I'm going to put that on there. There we go. So, when it starts jiggling 1 to 4 times, like this, that's when I'll start my processing time, which is 75 minutes. 4 pints, which is what I have. But if I was doing quarts, it would be for the 90 minutes. So, that's when I know I'm at a good spot. When you put your weight on, you'll learn in time. I turn my heat down, my fire down under my pot here. I turn it down. On my stove, it's generally about 6 3/4 to 7 on the numbers. That's about what gets me to where my pot runs, and it gives me those 1 to 4 jiggles. You'll learn in time what yours is. You want to gradually bring your fire down, though, after you put your weight on. Don't turn it down like to 2 or something, or to low. You want to turn it down a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. When things starts jiggling, turn it down just a little bit more until you get your jiggling about right, so it's not just going everywhere and crazy. That's a lot of pressure in there. If you don't have a gauge, that's how you do it. You just kind of bring it down to where it's jiggling about where it should be according to what your canner's manual says. So read your canner's manual. If you do not have one, if you can find somebody that has the same canner, talk to them about it. Ask them if you can get a copy of theirs, or read their manual and make some notes, and get the information written down so you don't forget it. From 1 year to the next, you might forget it if you only can in the fall. So if you can get a copy of their book, or get online and get a copy, even better. So, all right, guys, we'll be back when we're finished. See, 1 to 4 times a minute that'll happen. If it's going more than 1 to 4 times a minute, then you turn it down. For me and my canner. All right, I'm turning the heat off, and we're gonna let it go. I'm going to slide it forward probably onto the front burner, but I would leave it there if you're new at canning. Just leave it alone. When it cools off, and on mine, I have a little lever in here. I don't know if you can see this. I guess it's on this side. I have a little lever in here that goes across here. When that thing pops up, that's how I know I can go ahead and take the lid and turn it, and I open it up just a little bit, but I don't take it completely off. I just make it ajar about 3-4 inches and leave it set there for another 10 minutes before I take it off. So right now it's turned off, and I'll probably come back in about 45 minutes to an hour and check it then. But usually I let it cool off for a good hour and a half before I start removing the lid. So we'll come back when that time is here. Okay, my lever went up into the handle, so I'm free to open this. So what I'm going to do is just open it. I'm going to turn it this way. You can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to push it. Let's see which goes this way, I believe. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to push it this way. Let me give it a second because the pressure inside. I'm cracking it just a little bit. And you want to open it up, the back side, the highest, away from you, so the steam is away from you. You don't want to ever open it towards your face, ever. And I'm just going to set the lid off a little bit, like so, for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'll come back and I'll pull them out, okay? That's just so it doesn't cool off too fast and nothing breaks, okay? So we'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, I don't know if you can see it, but these jars are still boiling, so you can see a lot of water movement in there still. So we're gonna go ahead and take them out. It's been 10 minutes. And place them on the counter where I have a cloth. And they did expand more, as you can tell. I mean, I'll bring them up close. Remember, I had them to about right there, so they did expand more. So unless your beans are soft, I don't know. If mine are hard, I leave a little extra room. That's just the way I do it. If they're soft, you might not have to. They're already pinging. Good deal. If they're hard, that's just what I do. Leave a little extra room. If they're soft, I don't have to so much, but generally I always do as a rule of thumb, because if there's any more room for expansion, they have the water there for it. They can take on the water, and at least it gives them that much more to plump up. So, which is better for me in the end, right? There you go. Pretty good. Cost me $2.48. About 35 cents a jar, rather than the store, which was 72 cents a can. So, in my mind, hey, I'm ahead. It's easy to do, guys. Give it a shot, and don't be afraid to pressure can. Just follow your steps. Make sure you read your book. Read your ball book for extra information. And, you know, you guys, you'll do it. Don't be so afraid of it. If you need a friend to come and help you, you know, or sit with you or whatever to get through it the first couple times, do that. You can look up the National Center for Home Preservation and get some information there as well. But hey, it's a prosperous day, guys. Have a good one. And I already have beans ready for tomorrow to can some more. I'm going to do something different tomorrow, so you guys come back for the next video. Take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.